Hey everyone, welcome back to another update. Today we're covering Sunday, February 8th and Monday, February 9th, a weekend into Monday stretch that saw President Trump dig in on controversies at home while the clock ticks toward another government funding cliff. We're talking the president's controversial video post, the fast approaching DHS shutdown deadline, escalating rhetoric around nationalizing elections, fresh scrutiny of Epstein related files, and the latest signals from the US Iran nuclear talks. Let's dig into it. The story that refused to fade was President Trump's handling of the now deleted Truth Social video that depicted former President Barack Obama and former First Lady Michelle Obama as apes spliced into election fraud claims. Trump addressed it again on Sunday and Monday. In an NBC interview and comments aboard Air Force One, he said he only watched the beginning, didn't see the offensive part, condemned racism, of course, but insisted the post was really about voter fraud. He blamed staff for not catching it and called the backlash overblown. The response was unusually broad. Rare public criticism from black Republicans, including Senator Tim Scott, who called it unacceptable, civil rights groups, and even some conservative commentators. Democrats framed it as part of a pattern, with House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries calling it malignant. As Black History Month unfolds, the episode has become a political liability, especially with polling showing disapproval climbing and midterms less than 9 months away. This isn't just optics. It intersects with broader tensions, immigration enforcement backlash, election integrity rhetoric, and GOP worries about alienating suburban and moderate voters. Switching to funding for the Department of Homeland Security, which expires this Friday, February 13th, after the short term extension that ended the broader partial shutdown earlier. Sunday talks shows and Monday developments made clear talks are stuck. Democrats sent the White House a list of demands for dramatic ICE and CBP reforms, including judicial warrants in sensitive cases, unmasking agents, new use of force rules, ending racial profiling, and better local coordination. The White House countered with its own proposal, but allies called judicial warrants a complete non starter. Senate Majority Leader John Thune said the sides aren't close and predicted a lapse. Key Democrats, including Senator Chris Murphy, signaled no interest in another short continuing resolution without real changes. Republicans have some leverage. ICE has access to prior year funds, but a shutdown would still disrupt TSA, Coast Guard, FEMA, cyber operations, and more. This fight is fueled by the Minneapolis surge fallout, fatal shootings, protests, and public anger. Democrats see a path to force concessions, while the administration sees a chance to push anti sanctuary measures. With senators heading to the Munich Security Conference soon, the window is closing fast. On to election integrity. President Trump doubled down on calls for Republicans to nationalize elections, suggesting federal intervention in key states to enforce voter ID, combat alleged fraud, and potentially oversee processes. He tied it to the SAVE Act and repeated claims about 2020 election fraud. Sunday shows a featured sharp pushback. Senator Adam Schiff warned Trump intends to subvert the 2026 midterms if Republicans lose seats, calling it extraordinary and lawless. Election experts and state officials expressed alarm over constitutional questions and potential chaos. Trump allies framed it as necessary to prevent cheating. Critics see it as a threat to state run elections and a signal that only certain outcomes will be accepted. This rhetoric, paired with FBI actions like seizing 2020 election records in Georgia, has Democrats and election integrity groups on high alert. With midterms looming, it's emerging as a central background. Let's shift to updates on the Epstein files and Iran. A bipartisan group of lawmakers reviewed unredacted Justice Department Epstein files on Monday, and it was discovered that President Trump blew the whistle on Jeffrey Epstein's activities in a 2006 phone call with police. Apparently, Trump was one of the very first people to call about the matter, and he said Ghislaine Maxwell is evil and suggested law enforcement focus on her. Maxwell appeared before Congress on Monday, but pleaded the Fifth and declined to answer questions, although her lawyer hinted Maxwell might cooperate if granted clemency. The release widened global fallout and renewed pressure on figures tied to Epstein. On the foreign policy side, Iran signaled possible limited nuclear concessions, diluting 60% enriched uranium to 20%, but only for full sanctions relief. The Supreme National Security Council secretary headed to the mediation site in Oman on Tuesday, likely carrying Tehran's position after last week's indirect talks. U.S. officials urged American ships to stay far away from Iranian waters amid tensions, and Trump has said he'll decide red lines, but no breakthrough is imminent. Let's switch to a special segment. It's news about the JFK assassination, but not news from the past couple of days. It involves the missing Orville Nix film, an 8mm home movie shot from a unique angle facing the grassy knoll in Dealey Plaza on November 22, 1963. This is the footage many researchers believe could settle or explode the second shooter debate once and for all. The original hasn't been seen publicly since 1978 when it was loaned to the House Select Committee on Assassinations for analysis. It bounced through the FBI, UPI, private firms, and congressional hands before supposedly entering federal custody under the JFK Records Act. The National Archives insists it only holds a copy, but the government has long maintained the original is not in its possession. Nix's granddaughter, Gail Nix Jackson, has pressed a federal lawsuit claiming the film was effectively taken without just compensation, a Fifth Amendment takings claim. Her team values it at over $900 million, arguing its historical and evidentiary weight is immense, especially now with modern AI enhancement, digital forensics, and stabilization tools that could reveal details invisible in the 1960s. On January 15th of this year, a judge in the U.S. Court of Federal Claims issued a discovery order allowing the case to advance. The government must now provide more information about the film's chain of custody, whereabouts, and fate. If the original surfaces, or if evidence emerges of mishandling or permanent loss, it could reignite every debate about government transparency, the Warren Commission, and whether key evidence from one of the most consequential events in American history was ever fully accounted for. This isn't ancient history. It's a live legal fight in 2026 that touches on trust in institutions, the power of the federal government to hold or lose sensitive materials, and the enduring question: what don't we know about November 22nd, 1963? Now it's time for the noteworthy tidbits, which are brought to you today by Big Fork Brands. Let me tell you about them quick. Sometimes I get on a roll cleaning or gardening, and I need a boost but don't have time for a meal. Big Fork Brands pork jerky is the perfect choice to keep my momentum, offering high-protein snacks for on-the-go energy boosts. Not only do they offer pork jerky, but they also make pork sticks, bacon sausage, bacon hot dogs, and burger and hot dog sauces. Products come in a variety of delicious flavors, including Thai green curry and maple and brown sugar for the meat options, and gangster and Chicago fire for the sauces. I personally think the original flavor of the pork jerky hits just right after tackling a big chore. It's a little salty and very flavorful. My discount code gives you 20% off your entire order, and it's currently the best deal available. Just visit bigforkbrands.com and enter in my promo code JADE, that's JADE, at checkout. All right, let's get back to the tidbits. A Minnesota legislative auditor found that Governor Tim Walz's employees fabricated records to conceal fraud, and they completed 0 site visits to locations that received hundreds of millions of taxpayer dollars per year. House Oversight Chair James Comer revealed that Representative Ilhan Omar's financial records are being investigated due to her ballooning net worth. Virginia Democrats are moving forward with their redistricting plan to add blue seats, leaving just 1 Republican congressional seat and 10 Democrats. I see some people on the right upset about this, so I must point out, we started this game. We can't expect the Democrats not to play along as well. Thousands of illegal aliens and non-citizens were found to be registered to vote in Alabama. Lastly, a federal judge blocked California's new law mandating ICE agents to remove their masks. That's the political landscape from February 8th and 9th. The controversial video story lingers, the DHS deadline is days away, election rhetoric is heating up, and Epstein and Iran developments keep the pressure on. How much damage is this doing ahead of the midterms? Drop your thoughts on Instagram or X at Shades of Jade Pod. If these rundowns are keeping you on track, subscribe, leave a review, and share the show. Thank you for listening and have a great day.